You alright?
Yeah, I'm alright.
Just, it's a lot right now, isn't it?
It is a lot.
There's a lot. There is a lot. Would you like a rest?
Oh, that sounds lovely.
Oh, come on in.
Oh, thank you.
Greetings, strangers, queer and pleasant. I'm not Laura Kate Dale.
And I'm not Jane Aerith Magnet, and welcome to another episode of Queer and Pleasant Strangers. It's a podcast. Two queer trans ladies tell you about the media we've consumed, unless we take a couple of weeks off, as we have recently done.
Yeah, this is the first post-marriage episode, right?
Yeah. We did an impromptu marriage. Yeah, we weren't. We were like, oh, at some point we will do a marriage, and then we got offered a free marriage.
Free marriage.
And so we very quickly did a marriage.
Hashtag marriage carriage.
Yeah, got married on a train.
Choo-choo.
And everything. We had a lovely, wonderful time.
Choo-choo.
And we got married very, very quickly, and had to do our first dance without falling over on a moving train.
Yeah, 125 miles an hour.
Yay!
Yeah, that's the joy of the Pendolino. It's a leaning train, so...
It is one of them leaning trains.
Yeah, during the service, or during the ceremony, and during the first dance, and while we were being papped for cutting the cake, there were... Like, if you look at the photographs of us cutting the cake, there's several where I'm just leaning very hard on the table, trying not to fall over.
Cutting the cake is the main one that I think about, because it's the one
I've got
where,
a knife!
We've got a knife, and we've had to take at least one hand off of something we could be using to support ourselves to pose with the knife.
And we're all supposed to be sort of cuddled up to each other, so the other hand can't even be used for holding
And you
anything.
can't put the weight on the knife hand, because otherwise you'll accidentally start cutting the cake before the photo's done.
Mm.
A
knife!
Yeah, we had a lovely time, though.
It was lovely. It was a lovely day. We got to see lovely people and have a lovely time.
We did. It was very nice having a wedding where we just sort of showed up and a wedding happened and we didn't really have to do anything once we got there.
Wedding planners are magical, huh?
Oh, yeah. Seems like they'd probably be expensive if you had to pay for them, but, like, hey, takes a lot of stress out of the wedding day.
Mm-hmm.
Having someone who's just like, oh yeah, we sorted the schedule, just sort of go where we tell you when we tell you.
Yeah. I mean, the most organisation I did all day was like, can I try and get all of the groups of people in front of the thing to take pictures?
Yes, so that our little photo album had all the groups of people in it.
Yeah, I think we got all 18 in.
Oh, by the time we got back on our train wedding, there was already a photo album with photos from the morning.
Yeah.
And the little train-shaped things of cake.
Little train-shaped boxes of cake and a cake that was shaped like a train separately to all that train cake.
And some little enamel pins of the Pendolino Pride train.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also I made pronoun pins for everyone.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we knew there was going to be a lot of non-binary people at the wedding, or people who use multiple pronouns. Just like, I'm going to make this easier for the boomers who are coming.
So yeah, I think since we last did an episode of this, the wedding happened, and also trans rights protest outside Downing Street happened. Yeah. It has been a busy couple of weeks. I've been a sleepy bean. It's been a lot.
Cheer up, sleepy bean.
Yeah, the protest went well.
Mm-hmm.
We did many speeches. It was a very rainy day, except for about the 3 hours that we were doing speeches. It just about stayed sunny and dry for those 3 hours.
I don't know, there's that bit during your speech where someone's holding an umbrella over you.
Oh yeah, no, we got all the way to the penultimate speech before rain started, and even then the rain stopped again after the final speech. Like, there's like 2, maybe 3 dramatic speeches at the end where the wind whipped up and the rain started to swell, and, you know, I think it made my speech all the more dramatic, the fact that, like, the rain's thundering down and I'm there like, I'm very dramatic about wanting change. Life's A loss happened.
A lot has happened. So
We've also-
apologies for the missing episode, but we're back.
I think if we could ever justify missing a week, it's probably this couple of weeks. Wedding. So we've played some things this week, just about, or this couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Well, what have you played this week?
Oh goodness, we played. I played 7 billion humans.
Oh, this is one of those Tomorrow Corporation games.
Yeah.
The World of Goo people.
The World of Goo people, the
Little
Little Inferno
Inferno.
people, the Human Resource Machine, and it's another one of those what if programming, but fun puzzle game.
Yeah, this is the only one I'm aware of that studio's ideas where they were like, what if we mechanically just did that again? Kind of.
Yeah, I think that is the first time they've done sort of a sequel to something, although I don't remember Human Resource Machine well enough to say how closely it follows.
My memory is narratively not so much mechanically. Yeah, they clearly cut from a similar cloth.
Mechanically? Mechanically, I know that Human Resource Machine is styled on assembly code. I don't know what 7 Billion Humans is based on, but it's got a lot of the elements I recognise from more like basic programming. The jump command feels very much like go-to.
Yeah.
So it's like very easy basic. There's a few commands in there that I struggled with.
Yeah.
I got all the way through the game. It's like 60 something levels, including like all the side missions. And I only really cheated twice. One of those was because I just didn't understand how a new command worked. For each command I was like, I can't see what it's doing. I've tried, I don't get it.
Yeah.
So
I don't think that counts. I think there's one level out of a whole game's worth of programming stuff that you were like, this one's not working. I'm gonna
there was one I really couldn't get, and I think I would have been able to do it had I had all of the commands.
Yeah.
But it was one of those ones where it's like, but we're going to stop using from this particular thing. And after fanning about with it for 2 hours, I was like, I don't know. Oh, and none of my code is particularly tidy. There were a good few towards the end where it's like, I've written 87 lines of code, and it all makes sense to me. Some of it's even commented. And then, like, getting to the score, and it's like, yes, but you could have done it in 14. Fucking what, mate?
I mean, look, efficient, elegant, concise code is great and all, but if it functions, it functions.
It does.
If you made functional code, you did the job.
I did the job, but it would be nice to have a brain that goes, oh yeah, you can do the thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like that's the thing is to maybe go back over it at some point and go, okay, here's how I did it. Can I work out a better way?
There's a couple I've looked at, like, solutions for, like, okay, how do you do the 7-line versions? Like, I can see that. I can see that your answer does work. It feels to me like it has too many potential holes to go wrong, and I guess that is my problem. I am over-engineering everything for, yes, but what if this happens?
Yes, yeah, are you future-proofing your code, or are you solving the literal problem in front of you?
Well, part of the problem is that it talks about robustness quite early on. It's like, you did this thing, but what if I were to say, change the numbers?
Yeah.
Because you've done this thing based entirely on what the numbers were initially, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So now I'm like trying to future-proof everything up the wazoo.
Yeah.
And suddenly it's not the case. Even though, like, clearly when you run the test cases with the 9.9 version, those cases don't actually come up nearly as much as I worried that they would.
Yeah, I feel like there's a small amount of that it requires from you that is like, are you actually solving the problem? Because, like, there is potential for you found a thing that gave the right answer, but only because, like, this specific problem is in front of you and it wouldn't, like, you didn't actually solve the thing that's at the core of this.
Yeah.
But there's that, and then there's, like, yeah, but what if, I'll make it more robust just in case.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, again, maybe making extra work for yourself, but also I can see how long-term that's probably helpful.
Maybe. Anyway, I enjoyed it. I would like to do... Like, I did coding as a child. Like, very basic programming. And then as I got older, I looked at other programming languages and was like, I'd love to learn this. I have no idea what a static void does. I don't know how to use that properly. I can't finish all my lines with semicolons. I'll never remember to do that. Yeah, like, I like it. I tried to get into Scratch for a little while and then I just forgot because I had so much else going on.
Life's like that sometimes.
Life is, but like, I'd love to learn more coding. At some point, and something visual and in that sort of style might be a thing to do sometime. But anyway, what about you? What have you played?
The main thing I've played this week is I played all the way through Boyfriend Dungeon.
Ooh.
So this is a dating sim meets dungeon crawler. You play someone who's moved to a new town that is populated by a bunch of people who can transform between human form and weapon form. So like, oh hey, that cool fencing sword is also a hot businessman. That sort of red and black sort of gothic saber, that's a mysterious man who owns a nightclub. Go on some dates, learn new moves to use with your weapons, go do dungeon crawling in order to unlock more dates with the weapon, to unlock new moves, to go do more dungeon crawling. You sort of back and forth between the two. Mechanically, there's a lot of stuff I like. I feel like the core gameplay loop is really fun. I think that all of the various weapons available in the game play very differently to each other. There is a good amount of variety. I like that you can only level up a weapon a maximum of once per dungeon run. So if you get to the end of a floor of the dungeon and you've currently, hit that next level with your weapon, it's like, hey, why not play a bit with another weapon as well, get them leveling up as well, because that one's just not gaining any experience. That sort of encourages you to cycle through your weapons and have more things on the go at once. In terms of the dating sim angle, there is zero punishment for dating all of the weapon characters in a single playthrough. It's all good.
Polyamory.
Exactly. Polyamory. I really like that the game has a setting that I've seen people talk about a lot in the past but never seen implemented before. The option to turn off text messages from mum. Animal Crossing is a good example of a game that has this problem. It's a game where you create a character that's ostensibly meant to be you, and then you receive messages from apparently your mother, and that can be kind of upsetting for some people. This game has an option to just go, just want to turn the mum messages off? Cool, done. That's pretty neat. I got a couple of little problems with it, but like generally I really enjoyed my time through it. There's not a huge amount of replayability to the dungeon crawling stuff. It is a couple of linear dungeons, and it's not like a Hades or something where you're getting different loadouts and different builds as you go through, and different enemies are showing up in different orders, and like, there's not that same level of reason to go back and replay the dungeon combat after you've finished.
Okay, so you're going to have to fight that telephone crab a lot.
I mean, you're going to have to do it each time you go through that floor on a run, and if you get a certain distance down through the run and get defeated, you can choose to start at a lower floor, so you could go, I don't want to fight that telephone crab boss again, I'll start after that floor, so you can skip a little further down, but ultimately there's not a huge amount of replayability beyond I want to get good with all the weapons once through. I very much like that the narrative is short, concise. It is very much focused on just the dates, which is great for people with things like ADHD, dyslexia, who are not who may not suit well reading large chunks of text like in a lot of visual novels. It basically fills a lot of that bonding and like that sort of fluff time in the narratives with the dungeon crawling instead. So it keeps the writing to the point, which is nice. There's a couple of the narratives that feel a little railroady in how they end, where I'm like, oh, there is just no way to get this narrative to end a way other than how it does. And I get that that's realistic to relationships. Sometimes relationships are going to end up the way they're going to end up, but there's a couple of moments I wish, like, had felt a bit more in control, but that's about the biggest problem I had with it. Also, like, so the game has been patched since it released, but at launch the game contained some content warnings at the start, and the content warnings weren't terribly well executed. The biggest problem with them is that they used a lot of might language for things that definitely will happen in your playthrough, like there's no might about it, and sort of talked about certain topics in the game as if they were going to be passing references, when in fact they are unavoidable core parts of the narrative that will be directed on an ongoing basis towards your player character. And, like, that's not great signage with your content warnings. They could have been more helpful. That's apparently... The patch is available on PC now. Gonna take a little while for console versions. Probably.
Have they added anything to the storefronts yet?
My understanding is no. Those content warnings still do not appear on the storefront, which is fine for certain digital storefronts, less so for things like the Switch, where you can't get refunds. So yeah, I had a great time with that game, but be aware, particularly if you're going to buy it on a platform that doesn't have refunds, the game's marketing is very light, fluffy visual novel. There are themes about having to endure having a stalker that you're going to have to be okay with, and if those are a thing that are going to be a problem for you, probably better that you know before you spend money that you can't get refunded. But, like, I really enjoyed the game. I had a very good time with it. I'm very glad I took the time to play it. Played through it in about 10 hours. Couple of lengthy play sessions I was done. Had a good time with that game.
Yay.
What about you? What have you played this week?
Oh, gosh. Played a few games. We played some Everdell.
We did!
This is a delightful town builder, a hand management game, board game. So basically, there is a small woodland, and you are basically trying to build the best village/town of 15 cards in front of you that you can.
Yeah.
And you might get some engine building aspects out of that. Basically, at the end of it, you're going to score your town. Whoever's got the highest score, based on various aspects, will win the game. I dropped my phone.
Oh no!
It seems like it's a pretty simple idea.
Yeah.
It's for an engine builder, like it feels like it definitely scratches the itch of something like terraforming Mars, but in a much more simplistic way, and one that doesn't take like 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah, it's a pretty short runtime game in that it's basically a worker placement game at its core, but you only have a very specific, very limited number of times that you can cycle through your workers before the game ends, and that sort of necessitates the game having a very defined length. But it's got this interesting mechanic where you can basically get more turns in the game by building up your engine in such a way that you're generating turns that don't use workers.
Yes.
So, for example, like, any turns you spend doing things like spending the resources your workers have gathered to build a new shop for your town, that's something that won't take up workers to do. Or certain buildings you might have in your little town might give you a free worker without having to spend resources, and that won't require using a worker to do. See, you find little things where it's like, if I can set up a chain of, let's say, 4 or 5 things I can do in a row that don't use up my workers, that's basically extra turns in the game I've got that my opponent hasn't, and I feel like that's a big part of
seems to be
a victory.
Yeah, basically your workers are probably the most limited resource you have in the entire game. And it's, what can I do to make like the absolute most out of everything? How can I generate the most resources? What can I do that's going to generate me other things, possibly other turns, possible future turns?
Yeah.
What have you got? What have you got? Tell me the things.
Yes, and trying to get things that combo into each other, so like, oh, every time I play a card, I get to draw a card, and that means that I'm going to have extra stuff that I can throw away in exchange for resources later. It's trying to do things that will give you other resources that will let you do other things later.
Yep, and potentially, obviously, trying to churn through the deck
Yeah.
to find the best cards you can to try and make the most out of it. Yeah, I really like Everdell. I'm seriously stroking the website for the backer kit at the moment, because they had a Kickstarter, I think ended in April. Of course, I would discover this game after the big Kickstarter, where it's like, we're doing a complete edition with all 5 expansions and a wooden Evertree and all the other stuff. We were lent this game rather than buying it. We didn't get the tree with it, so we're having to work out from the manual what things the tree does.
Yeah.
But yeah, because apparently the cardboard one that comes in the standard edition of the game doesn't really appreciate being built and taken apart too often, which is a shame because it's a really nice little prop to have at one end of the board. So yeah, the complete edition is I'm sort of like, can I justify $200 for this? And can I justify it in a hurry, because I suspect that backer kit's not going to be around forever. So yes, yeah, I desperately want to get a copy of this now because it's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, what about you? What have you played?
I've started playing the beginnings of a couple of other cute little indie games.
Oh yeah, you've been round all the Nintendo Direct stuff, huh?
Yeah, I played the first couple of hours of a game called Button City, which is a game about cute anthropomorphic animal characters trying to save the local arcade from the greedy capitalism that's gonna try and shut down the arcade. But it's also just a game about someone moving to a new town and making friends with new people, and the joy of video games as a shared thing to make friends through. Absolutely adorable art style, very vibrant, memorable characters. But one of the neatest little things about it is that the arcade in the game has a bunch of functional arcade machines with little different mini games that you can do and get better at and unlock new modes for, and like keep coming back to throughout the game to have more stuff to do with. And they're all really good quality little mini games.
I saw you doing drifting last night.
Yeah, there was a racing one where the gimmick was you've got a boost meter, and the boost meter recharges basically infinitely fast if you're doing big drifts around corners.
Mm-hmm.
So a big part of doing well in it seemed to be as soon as you were coming up to a corner, boost, drift, ride that drift as long as you can, because you could just keep the boost held down while that drift is happening, and trying to get from drift into drift into drift into drift as you went around the track. Yeah, it was real neat.
Nice.
There's a cool little DDR minigame that was deceptively tricky. I had a good time with. There's a little 3-on-3 team. It's a little bit of a MOBA, but what if you were collecting fruit and throwing it in a big blender to make a smoothie? To try and make a bigger smoothie than the other team?
The biggest smoothie.
Yeah,
So
with your fruit-based robots.
Frobots.
Yeah, Frobots. Yeah, it's really charming. I need to play more of it and see where it goes, but it's delightful and I'm having a lovely time with it so far.
Yay!
What about you?
We played Kemet Blood and Sand.
We did.
This is a new version of Kemet, which is supposed to be a pretty good dudes on a map style war game. This is, I understand, like, what if Kemet 1.5? We've upgraded some stuff, we've changed some stuff, we've streamlined some stuff. Here's more Kemet. So basically, you have a large scalable map. You will move various things around depending on player count. In 2-player, you will have like a big swirly thing on one side of the board, and you'll only play one side of the Nile. And you are trying to build pyramids to allow yourself the ability to buy certain powers. The taller your pyramid is, the higher level of things you can buy. And amongst those things that you can buy are the ability to get hold of certain like monsters, like giant snakes,
Yeah.
and sphinxes, and all sorts of fantasy creatures of Egypt. Yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah. I like the asynchronous nature of sort of how both teams will end up having different sets of abilities that they've picked throughout the course of the game, dictating their playstyle in this little, very, very focused war game.
Yeah. It's got that kind of crunchiness that you would get from something like a War of the Ring, but it definitely plays a lot quicker.
Yes.
And the actual fighting style is a bit more like I think you mentioned Scythe at the time.
Yeah.
Just like that. Okay, I'm gonna play some cards in my hand with my fight. You know, like some of the scoring for that. You know that I initiated the fight. You know how many people I've got with me. And you might know that I've got like bonuses from my tableau that I built out of the tiles I purchased.
Yeah.
But you don't know what cards I'm going to have. In fact, the card that you are given by default is a psych. I'm playing a card. You don't know that it's actually nothing.
Yeah.
It's just a card to play.
Yeah, the combat has a really good sort of double bluff element to it, but it's nice and quick, nice and simple. No randomized element to it. It's just
a little bit mathsy, but like it's not too bad.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to like warp around the board to fast travel around various ways. There are very easily defined bonuses for controlling certain parts of the board.
Yep.
You get rewarded for winning combat, and basically, hey, first to a certain number of points wins. Because it's a relatively low point number threshold you need to win, I feel like it does encourage combat, because, you know, if you can pull it off, a single fight brings you a noticeable chunk closer to victory.
Yeah.
But the penalty for picking a fight and losing that fight that you started is
pretty heavy.
Pretty harsh.
But at the same time, like, I felt like I was doing the best myself when combat was going well and when I was being aggressive.
Yeah.
But, like, when combat was going badly and I was being aggressive, it's like, oh dear. And, like, the way you clean up after a battle, you have an opportunity to just go, I will move all of my things back and you can choose where I retreat to. So I could retreat somewhere really unhelpful to me. Or I can just suck them off the board and have, like, for every 2 units you remove, you get, like, some of the points used to summon them back.
Yeah.
So it's not a complete loss, but that does stop you getting into a position where, okay, I had this one person left, you've made them retreat to somewhere specific. Uh-oh, now you're going to start another fight with them, which will generate you more bonus points, and that'll bring you that
That's
closer.
the thing. It prevents you going like, I'm going to strategically kill half of your army, and that half then won't be strong enough for me to attack them again, and basically get victory points twice for essentially the same army I took down.
Yeah. And I wasn't smart enough to get my dudes off the map sometimes. But, like, yeah, it's definitely what I want to play a bit more of, but I liked the sort of compactness of it. Once we got through the rules, another one of those war games is like, yes, you're going to need a little minute to get through the rules, but once you've got through the rules, it's kind of okay.
Yeah.
And it moves pretty swiftly. Like, you've got that day-night cycle of, day, I do 5 things, and I have to spread them out across my pyramid to make sure that I've done some of each of these things. And I have to try and move things around in a certain way and try and buy things. And then you've got your night phasers like, okay, well, what am I getting prayer points from, I think it's called? Or like, what are you getting your faith? How is that coming to you? Okay, cool. Now you've got like an income, you've got things, are you ready for the next day? Let's go again. And it is just that cycle of do 5 things, recover, do 5 things, recover. And yeah, like I say, it's a bit mathsy, but like there's nothing wrong with sitting there with a calculator, and it's not going to take long.
Yeah.
But yeah, what about you? What else have you played?
Very quickly, I started playing a game called Garden Story. It's a little top-down RPG. You play as a little happy purple grape.
Oh,
yeah, adorable. Typical fantasy thing, the world tree is dying, there's
Oh.
pollution that's there. You gotta go around with your tiny little sword fighting the pollution. No, you're going to fight them.
Go west.
Yeah, adorable little game. More crunchy than I expected it to be
Yeah?
mechanically, in that, like, once you get the ball rolling on the plot, you are basically in charge of protecting this little village, and every day you're given a couple of a few different quests to complete to help the village, and let's say you die before you complete those 3 quests for the day. Well, that day's just gone. You can't do those quests now. You're on the next day. And the days are numbered, which leads me to think that I have to get a certain level of village preparedness probably before something. And it's like, oh, if I die, I can just lose a day and not
it's
be able
Fable
to...
3 again.
Yeah, it feels a little intimidating in that regard.
Fascinating.
Also, one thing that I really actively dislike is in the tutorial when you're starting to go through this. It's like, okay, these are your 3 quests for the day, and it puts little markers on the map for where each of the 3 quests is. And I'm like,
Okay.
that's great, that's wonderful, that's super helpful for me. You get into the game proper, and it's like, there's no markers for where the quests are, and I'm like, I'm actively finding this a lot more difficult. I don't know where these places are that these quests are. I feel really... I feel like I've been dropped out of my depth all of a sudden.
Okay.
Yeah. So fun game. Really wish it would just fucking tell me where the quests are on the map like it did in the tutorial. That was really helpful.
Okay, and you can't generate your own somehow by, knowing the name of the area or anything?
Not that I can tell.
Huh. It helps to have a map.
It helps to have a map that, points out... This. You've got 3 things to do today. Here's where they are. Go have a look.
Where are they? No, but where are they, though?
That's the thing. It feels a little bit smug with itself in that regard.
Yeah.
So yeah, cute game. Go in being aware that it's a little bit more, it's going to not hold your hand in a way that I hoped a game this cute and adorable would hold my hand just a little tiny bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. What about you? What have you played this week?
We played Sub-Astral. So it's a card game, hand management, I guess, tableau building,
Yeah.
set collection. So you have these 6 clouds laid out in front of you. 2 of them, or 6 of them will have, or all of them will have at least 1 card. 2 of them will have an extra card on. And you have a choice. You can either... You basically take a card from your hand, you put it down somewhere on the tableau, and if you pick up from one side, you get to pick up all of the cards from whichever cloud you pick, plus 1 from the deck. Or you can put those cards that you pick up directly in front of you.
Yeah, so let's say you had a 4 in your hand and you played it. You play it on the number 4. The numbers to the left of it, 1 through 3. If you picked up from those ones, you'd add them to your hand. If you picked up from one of the aisles to the right, you'd put them in front of you as part of your tableau. So the cards you have in your hand are important because they dictate where you can play things down and therefore how far to the left or right you can be picking things up or moving things to your tableau.
Oh, yes. But at the end of the game, you're scored based on what your largest set is. And the way you lay out your tableau is really important. So there are limited numbers of each card in the deck. You don't know exactly how many because depending on how many people are playing, there are a certain number that is just locked behind the endgame card at the bottom of the deck. You don't know what they are, so you can't guarantee you can get a full set or how many of a set is just nebulous and not necessarily there. When you first get cards, you have to lay them out in front of you from left to right. But if you've already got one of a particular suit, you need to put that as the next layer down. At the end of the game, you're scored for mixed sets. So your longest mixed set is, do you have all 8 cards or just 7 of them from left to right? How does that go? And then your next complete set. But if you haven't got any of your whatever your number 1 card is, that doesn't count. So you've got to go, it's got to go 1, 2, 3 all the way across. So any gaps you have in there are going to fuck you over.
Yeah.
And then it's like your two largest sets. But it takes the largest set, if there's a tie, it will take the set to the left. So if you've got 3 of one and 3 of something else, you'll score the one further left.
Which will be worth fewer points.
Yeah, because they're based 1 to 8.
Yeah.
How many cards you have from 1 to 8, depending on their position in the array.
Yeah, it's a very simple set of rules, but I think what it does really well is it splits your priorities in that if you're trying to complete sets, it's to your benefit to have the more common cards to the left, because it means that there's a better chance that your second row will get further along, and you'll have more decently completed sets. But also, it's advantageous to have your most common cards at the right-hand side, because then if you make them your most common set, they're worth the most points there. And it's trying to balance, where do I put the most common cards? Do I put them where it's going to help me set build, or do I put it where it's going to help me duplicate build?
Mm-hmm. Fascinating little game.
Yeah.
It's really impressive for a game that in a box that small.
It's nice and quick as well. It's maybe a 15-minute or so.
15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Even teaching it doesn't take that long. I mean, we pretty much covered all of the things. It's probably not super easy to tell from just us saying it, but yeah, it's...
With a visual reference, it's pretty quick to pick up.
And with all Renegade games, the Game Boy Geek has done a instructional video on how to play it. It's not very long. There are variants to the game in the manual if you want to do some slightly different stuff. We have not played with that yet, but yeah, it's a nice, fun, quick little game. Maybe like a nice warm up for a game day. Scales from 2 to 5 players. And yeah, I really enjoy it. I like the artwork as well. It's very beautiful.
Yeah.
What about you? Have you played anything else?
The main other thing I've been playing a little bit of is I've been playing a little bit more Train Simulator.
Thanks.
So mainly the thing that's happened this week is I'm now a moderator of the Train Simulator speedrunning community on speedrun.com. So yeah, that's a game that I've been wanting to speedrun for a while and did not have a active moderation community, and now that it does again, I'm going to be setting some speedrun times on that game. I'm going to be doing some very fast train journeys and encouraging others to come for my scores.
Mm-hmm.
I'm determined I'm going to have rivals. I'm going to bring some rivals into that community. Build up another little speedrun community.
Good plan.
Yeah. What about you? What have you played?
Also, other games I've played. We played some more Skyward Sword HD.
We did.
We've completed the tablet, and we are just starting to go back into those now.
Yeah.
We've done a bunch of side quests. Groot has discovered the ground.
And had a bit of an existential crisis.
Yep. We fought Girahim again.
Yeah.
We fought Gary.
Gary.
What else? Oh, we played through Merv, Heart of the Silk Road again.
Yeah. Took a bit of picking back up because that game has too many fucking mechanics.
It's got so many mechanics.
It has an intimidating number of mechanics. Even when you've played it before, you pick it up after a while and go, oh god, yeah, there's like 8 things I can be doing any given turn.
To be fair, this is only the second time we've played it.
I feel like we've played it more than twice.
We might have played it 3 times, but that's it.
Yeah.
We've only got it out like twice, so it would have been probably the weekend we got it or the weekend after we got it. We might have played it 2 days then. I thought we'd only played it one, but
I'm pretty sure we've played it more than once, but it's intimidating.
It's intimidating. As you say, there's like there's the walls, the mosque, the palace, the marketplace, the caravannery. I think there's somewhere else you can go in there as well.
Yeah, building reputation.
Yeah, there's influence points and what other sort of things you can buy as well.
Yeah.
Can you buy things from the caravannery yet or not? How are you ordering yourself in the turn order for the next round? Are the Mongols attacking this turn?
Yeah, so we've talked about this game before. Like the mechanics are fairly simple, other than the huge number of things you can learn to do. But it's basically, pick a row and which square on a row to build a building on. It'll have a picture of what action you get to do for picking that one. You get resources for the squares you've picked. If you have lots of buildings of the same colour in a row, you get all of their resources, so there's strategic placement trying to make that happen. Depending on, like, whoever takes the furthest row along when picking where to place their thing will go first in the turn order, and less people use a resource to push themselves up the turn order. There's a lot of interconnected mechanics, and this is one of those games where I would be terrified to try and teach someone this game.
Oh no, I'm getting Randy to do that.
Yeah, because like if I had to explain
Rodney.
this game to someone, if I had to explain this game to someone myself from scratch, I'd be like, I don't know where to start, and I don't know how to not make this overwhelming.
I mean, it's a fairly overwhelming game.
Yeah, we've played it before, and watching that recap video, I was like,
This is a lot of things. We got it though.
Yeah, we had a great time once we were playing it, but watching the video, I was like,
Yup. We played Clank in Space through again.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, that was fun. I played some 5D chess with multiverse time travel.
How did that go?
It's a bit mind-bending, but it's fun.
Are you still in the correct timeline?
I think so.
Yeah.
I haven't, accidentally gone back in time and checkmated myself.
Or have you?
Maybe it hasn't happened yet.
Oh.
Maybe it will have happened yet soon. We played some Tiny Epic Zombies.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, it's a game I've been desperate to play for a little while now. Fun fact, I thought we'd lent it to someone. It turns out it was just in a suitcase because we'd taken it to lend it to them and then forgotten to give it to them while we were there and then just not unpacked it.
Yeah, I haven't travelled in like a year, therefore suitcase.
Who needs a suitcase?
Who's needed a suitcase in a long time?
Exactly. And
Yeah.
then, SpaghettiOs, there it is.
Yes, it's a little co-op game. You've got all these cards laid out to be like a shopping centre. 3 random objectives are dealt out. Try and do the objectives without dying or before the deck runs out of cards.
Before zombies overrun your central base.
That game is really well balanced in that every time we've played it, the deck of cards has always been within a few cards of running out. As we either finish the objectives with a couple of cards left in the deck, or we lose and go one more turn and we would have done it. Like it's always right on the cusp.
It's perfectly timed. We've also played this in 5-player, I think.
Yeah,
because previously we'd played it where you and some friends had been the survivors, and I basically DM'd as the zombie. And that's a really fun variant on the game, and it's cool that you can have that whole competitive aspect as well, and like get so much out of, once again, gaming games with just the tiniest fucking box.
Yeah.
It's such a small box, and there is so much in there. That's else. What about you? Anything else?
That's everything I've played this couple of weeks.
Well then.
Time for this. Welcome. Time to get the seminar started. Right, everyone. You know how sometimes there are people who know more about a topic than you, agreed?
Well, actually...
Yeah, there are people who know more sometimes on a topic than you.
Well, actually...
No, we're gonna have to get a yes out of you to move on with this.
I mean, I could, I suppose, agree with you in certain ways that there are people who know less things than other people, and, not me, but sometimes things aren't known.
Do you agree that you may not have personal experience on every topic on the planet?
I mean, I've read about a lot of things online, and I'm open to debate about...
Personal experience. Okay, and personal experience allows people to give informed perspectives on an experience that you might not otherwise have, correct?
Yeah, but I can...
So there are some informed experiences you may not have that others might.
Well...
So, right, okay, let's try this again. Let's try this. As a cis, straight, able-bodied white dude, what do you do when a minority is talking about their lived experience that you have not experienced?
I quote tweet another cis straight white guy who made a video about it.
No.
I linked a Wikipedia article written by a cis straight white dude about it.
No.
I refer to a book written in the 1970s, probably by a cis straight white able-bodied person.
Oh, let's go back to the start. Right. Sometimes people know more about a topic than you, correct?
Well, actually...
We're gonna be here all day.
Oof. Well, that was disappointing, wasn't it?
I mean, yeah, not what I was expecting.
Yeah, I mean, I announced Jesus is back, second coming.
Yeah, did all that water in the wine, walking on water stuff. It was clearly him.
Yeah, and then he's just going on about, the financial institutions.
I know. Who is this Jesus fellow to be complaining about how we run our mega churches as businesses?
Exactly, we run mega churches. Look, I mean, look at the number of people we've got in, and who are they here for if not him?
I mean,
Capital H, obviously.
I mean, yeah, maybe. But like, look, he's talking about us giving away all the stuff and helping the poor. Talking about letting immigrants into the country.
Yeah, but they didn't pay to be here.
Oh, exactly. He's going on about, like, giving people free healthcare and doing nice things for other people for no reason.
Well, that just sounds like socialism.
Indeed it does, and if I've learnt anything living in America the last few decades, it's that conservatism is the only Christian belief.
Right. That's why they call them conservative Christian beliefs.
Yeah. Because Christ would have been conservative. Probably, definitely.
Probably, definitely. Well, this...
Don't know why he's not being now. Probably Lib's got him.
I mean, to be fair, how do we know it's even Jesus? I mean, yes, he did all of those miracles, but he's not even a white guy. Where's the long hair? Where's the robes?
I mean, none that up to me.
I mean, it doesn't look like any of the church windows that I've had installed.
Oh, exactly.
And this building's got a lot of windows installed.
Indeed. Oh.
Is that locusts banging on the window?
Yeah. Don't know why they'd be coming for us.
I don't know. Also, I keep hearing just a lot of frogs.
A lot of frogs.
A lot of frogs.
A lot of angelic chanting. Probably nothing.
Oh yeah, there was that horn trumpeting earlier.
Yeah, probably
That's
nothing.
fine. Still, I hear they're nailing him up later this afternoon. Best thing for him, innit?
Yeah. That's one thing I don't mind the tax money being used on.
Exactly. I mean, he's a carpenter. He'll appreciate a good bit of woodwork. So, what have you put in your eyes?
We watched a not great horror film together called Wounds.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
It had such potential.
Yeah, so it felt a little bit The Ring-esque in that, like, you've got this protagonist who accidentally sees some photos on a phone of some kind of gross killings or something, and then he starts getting some creepy phone calls, and it's like, you looked at these, therefore something bad's gonna happen to you now. Like, that kind of a setup. They did a very good job of making a very hateable protagonist. I was very ready to see the main character just get fucking murdered.
Yeah.
I was very ready for it. I was ready to cheer when whatever terrible fate befell him.
And the terrible fate befell him, and then we were like, roll credits, you fucking what?
Yeah, it feels like the film lacks an entire third act. It just... out of nowhere, the main character just sort of dies and the film's just sort of over.
Does he die?
Does he? He gets attacked, I think?
He's... Spoilers.
It's a terrible film, don't watch it.
Don't watch it. So he goes to see the guy who got his face cut up at the beginning.
Yeah.
Into his apartment, and he's, like, saying weird stuff to him, and the guy's like, don't look at me and don't do the thing, you can't be here. And then he notices that there's something inside the guy's wound on his face, and he's like, starts talking into the wounds, and then all the cockroaches and all the bugs and shit start flying all around the room, black out the camera. He says something really cryptic to the wound as well, like, heal me or something, or complete me. And then, like, all the bugs completely black out the camera, and then the fucking credits roll.
Yeah, so, like, I'm not afraid to talk spoilers here. It seems like what either needed to happen was, like, the comeuppance for the main character needed to be a lot more, like, explicitly shown. To be like, okay, we've got some closure. He fucked around with something bad and something bad happened to him. Okay, I could have lived with that. Or some degree of understanding, like, what is occurring here? Did you interact with something supernatural? Is this just a case of, you found a phone that some kids had, recorded some, like, fucked up shit on, and they were like, oh, we're gonna fuck with you now? Like, so either some sense of closure on what was happening, or some sense of closure of watching this person suffer for being an asshole. But it didn't really have either of those.
Yeah, it didn't, like... Because clearly the kids had been fucking with something, but it was just, he, we're evil, fuck you, ha ha ha, we're gonna follow you around and torment you. And then there's, like, the guy from the beginning who's an absolute arsehole and gets his face cut, and then they pop upstairs to his apartment at one point, and he's got a huge Confederate flag on the wall. There's the scene where he goes to the police station and they've got a thin blue line flag on the wall, because this film is not at all subtle.
No, but, like, here's the thing, is it set up all of these, like, okay, I'm ready to watch you get punished, but I just need some kind of justification. Like, is this a curse that's coming for really bad, shitty, misogynist men? Is it is this, they summon something weird from hell and now it's chasing after anyone that...
There was that whole thing about the transference of wounds.
Yeah,
the website and the books that were in the background of the scary pictures.
Yeah, but, like, just none of the mystery threads went anywhere. They set up a bunch of things and then, some spooky bugs came out of a wound, cut to black.
They kind of went places, just not anywhere in any way satisfying. Like, it does not earn the ending at all.
Yeah,
it's like, if you wanted to make that your, like, end of Act 2, cool.
Yeah.
Like, then maybe the arsehole guy that we've been following the whole film becomes some, like, horrific avatar of the wounds. And he's, like, dripping bugs everywhere and chasing the kids that fucked him up at the beginning. That would have been the end of an interesting film.
I'll tell you where I thought this was going when it first cut to black, is I thought we were going to cut to black, hold for a second, and we were going to switch perspective to his wife, who the whole way through had seemed much more level-headed about, like, take this fucking seriously, what do we do about this? I was ready for him to, like, die off at screen or get, like, infected or whatever, and his wife to come in and be the third act.
Just flamethrower him or something.
I mean, basically, and be like, aha, this is what's going on, now I will flamethrower my cockroach wound husband.
My cockroach wound husband.
But, like, you know what I mean? Like, it lacked something that felt like an ending. It just didn't have a thing that felt like an ending.
Like, I love good bad films, but this was not a good bad film.
Yeah.
This was a bad film.
We've watched some bad films where I'd be like, I'd watch that again. It was bad, but I had a fun time. That one set at the fake VidCon.
Velocipasta.
Velocipasta,
the VidCon one I would watch again.
Yeah, exactly. But, like, this was... It felt like they ran out of money halfway through filming and went, I guess we finish it here.
Yeah.
It had the real feel of we suddenly ran out of budget or time.
Yeah, that's definitely the vibe I got.
We need an ending here because we have no more money.
Look, we spent all the money on this one scene. It's the most spectacular thing we could manage. So roll credits, question mark?
Yeah. What about you? What have you watched this couple of weeks?
We rewatched The Matrix of all things.
We did. How did you? I've watched it more recently than you. How did you find this rewatch?
Yeah, I don't think I've watched it in about 20 years. It's all right.
Yeah. I still enjoy the first Matrix movie.
It was interesting to see
pretty well.
Recolor graded, because when I saw it, it was grey.
Yes.
And then I remember going and watching the sequels and going, but why are the sequels so green when the original was grey? It's like, I found out that was a problem with transferring it to DVD.
Yeah.
And whoever was in charge of putting it on certain editions of the DVD didn't understand that it was deliberately colour graded green. So had sort of corrected it to this weird grey. So yeah, I guess it made more sense to watch it that way.
Yeah. What watching it together with you, it was nice to discuss, like, what I remembered from the later films and being like, oh yeah, no, they set some of this up well, and I understand why some of the characters are doing some of the things they're doing, and there's some interesting stuff in there.
Yeah.
I still think the villain turn is fairly well handled, if a little heavily foreshadowed a bit earlier in the film.
Yeah, I mean, he's not subtle at all about his issues.
But, like, the way that, like, that whole aha, I'm going to be open about the bad thing scene is, like, very well acted. You know, I enjoy it as a film.
It's visually interesting. Some of the visual stuff holds up in, like, to this day.
Yeah.
Some of it.
Flame and liquid effects have aged worse than, say, bodies morphing. Those have held up pretty well. They've held up relatively well. They don't draw me out of the experience.
So, talking about the Matrix and weird body things, I worked in a model shop during the time of the Matrix films, or at least the sequels. And one thing I've always noticed about photo scans of Keanu Reeves' face is it never fucking looks like him. Never.
Yeah.
He is unscannable.
He is an eternal god.
He is, but he, like, clearly the lasers say something that visually doesn't ever occur on him. Because if you look at him, and then you look at most of the sideshow figures, or like the sideshow busts that they did, which were from the same digital scans used in the film, and just like, that's not Keanu Reeves, what the fuck? And then there's the scenes in the Burly Brawl when it's an entirely digital Keanu, and you're like, that looks fucking nothing like him. What happened?
Keanu has an impossible to capture face.
He does.
And I believe it has something to do with his inability to age.
Maybe so.
The light's refracting off him in some strange ways that fuck up the lasers or something.
Maybe so, but you can always spot a weird digital Keanu. And the other thing I think I watched in a Corridor Digital video, like, a long time ago, talking about a lot of the problem with like making digital characters back in the day, and some less well done even more modern ones, is the fact that very often the fabrics have to get smoothed to fuck.
Yes.
Because it's way too difficult to do, like, too many ripples in a fabric.
Yeah, I think that there's a very specific reason that one of the characters in the sort of later part of that film is largely wearing a latex bodysuit. Because that is easier to CGI.
I still think that the scene at the beginning with the jump kick with Carrie-Anne Moss, like, I think the fact that a lot of the time that whole room is CG still holds up really well. Yeah. Compared to some of the others like that. That's not good CG. But yeah, it's some of
the practical work I still love, like the H.R. Geiger-esque waking up in the weird egg with the tubes in the back of the neck. Like, that's perfect consistency of the goo membrane. Yeah.
Stretch me goo membrane. It's alright.
Yeah. I kind of want to rewatch the sequels at some point, because the sequels I haven't rewatched in God knows how many years.
I remember quite liking the second one and just, like, being like, no, for the third one.
I'm curious to see if time has softened my feelings on them.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably, because I've had a lot of people being like, oh yeah, watch 2 and 3, everyone hated them at the time, I don't understand why. Because it was cool to hate them. It's like, no, because I wasn't part of anything at the time. I just genuinely didn't like 3 at the very least.
I feel like I would feel the same way rewatching 3 as I do say I did when I replayed Mass Effect Andromeda. Knowing what it is and what to expect and setting my expectations properly, I will probably have a more enjoyable experience with it.
Yeah, I think 2 has more interesting fight scenes, and I think my main problem is too much of 3 is in the real world, and then there's that ending. What about you? Have you watched anything else?
We watched the first episode of Marvel What If?
We did!
Which is about Peggy Carter. What if Peggy got the super serum instead of Steve Rogers? What if Captain Carter? I've seen very mixed thoughts on the animation style. I really enjoyed it.
I enjoyed the animation style. I mean, I can see why it's not for everyone.
I feel like it works It definitely excels in action and fight scenes more so than it does in standing speaking to each other scenes. I feel like is where it shines best, but
I think it's fine.
yeah, I feel like they did a good job of telling a condensed, satisfying little micro story.
Yeah.
I have a real suspicion the whole way through these What If episodes, I'm just going to be watching them going, oh, that's really cool. Why didn't we get that story? That seems cooler than what the MCU gave us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's going to be a lot of I'd rather be watching this version of the MCU.
Yeah, give us that. Give us that.
Yeah, give us a series about this rather than Falcon and the Winter Soldier doing war crimes.
Yeah. One that, please.
What about you? Have you watched anything else?
No, I think that's everything.
I think that's everything I've watched as well.
Well then.
Time for this.
Hello, got any sponsor?
Who's on who's sponsor?
Well, do you like getting married?
I did. I very much enjoyed it. I recommend it.
And you got married in a way that was very special to you.
Oh yeah, I got married on a train. That's the special interest I
That is
have.
a special interest of yours. What if, because there are other special interests in the world,
Other people do have other special interests.
what if other people with special interests could get married in their special interest special way?
That'd be really wonderful, but I don't think a business exists for that because I had to win a competition to get this wedding.
But being prompted by having seen all of the press around your
Oh, I
wedding.
see.
Somebody has created special interest weddings. Do you want to get married in an aquarium surrounded by fish because your autism special interest is scale colorations?
I mean, not me, but that sounds wonderful for someone.
What if someone wanted to get married in a hot air balloon?
I mean, if that's their special interest, that sounds delightful.
What if someone wanted to get married on a train? I mean, do that. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. I recommend that one.
Well, try special interest wedding. We will arrange a hyper-specific, one-of-a-kind wedding tailored to suit that one thing you're absolutely obsessed with.
Oh, heck, that one thing.
That one very specific thing.
Oh, that's going to be a very special wedding.
So go to specialinterestweddings.lol.net and enter the code Q&PS178 and you can get 25% off your very special day. Inside the boardroom of Electronic Active Softworks.
Hi. So, that shooter game we got where we drop all the people on the island together?
Yeah, the 2 weeks thing.
2 weeks, yeah. So, people have been, not playing as much recently.
But, have we not just done a new season?
I know, and we put that singer in there doing a concert, and we put that actor in as a character, but...
We did the Pokemon thing.
Exactly. But apparently, the game just being the same one video game cannot infinitely make people keep playing.
Right. So we go back to the original idea, right? We make it like a Yu-Gi-Oh thing. It's about a series of games rather than just one mode.
I mean, yeah, so this is where I was thinking, because, how originally, we had an original mode of our own, and then we kind of stole that other Battle Royale game's whole thing, and were more popular than them?
I mean, I wouldn't call it stealing. Not where anyone can hear.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You know how we just, we stole another game to make this one, and, no one cared.
Yeah, no.
I'm thinking we just do more of that. We make more game modes that are just stolen other games.
Right.
So here's one. I got one I've been working on. I'm thinking we have a mode for 2 weeks where you have a bunch of characters, maybe 10 or so characters, in a ship together. They all have to do objectives and they run around doing objectives.
Right.
But a couple of the players are actually secretly imposters.
Right.
And they're trying to kill the players without getting noticed, and if you find a body, you can call a meeting and discuss who did the murder.
Like the Mongoose game.
Yeah, like the Mongoose game.
Yeah.
I think we literally just call it imposters. We literally use the term from their game to call it. It's literally just their game, but in 3D.
Okay, so we're not going to do a whole thing where we're just we're not just sticking with guns. We're just going way off here.
Yeah, no, we're literally just making hey, we're making that other game.
Okay, so at some point, if we wanted to say have little creatures that happen to be found around the map, and you collect them up, and then you make them fight for your entertainment.
Exactly. Maybe you had to collect them all.
Yeah, and we'll call it collect collect for.
Collectimons.
Collectimons, yeah.
Yeah. And you'd use them for battles, and, maybe we still drop 100 people into a map, and now they have Collectimons.
Yeah, and the last one wins some colored league or something.
Yeah, the last one alive, gets to be the very best, like no one was before.
I mean, that sounds brilliant.
Original.
Yeah, original.
Yeah.
Exactly. So original.
Exactly.
Yeah, and what if we just drop one person into a huge open world and they had a huge adventure and they helped a princess fight a huge demon or something?
Maybe give them a sword.
Yeah, I mean, maybe even several swords. Weapon degradation. Everyone loves that, right?
Exactly. Okay, I got one more for you. I got one more.
Sure.
What if we have a map that's it's viewed from top down. It's kind of like a maze or a labyrinth.
Right.
And the player has to run around collecting little dots.
Right.
Avoiding ghosts that are trying to get them.
Right, but what if they get, they find a way out of the maze?
Oh, they'll come back on the other side.
Right. Yeah.
And there's these little special power dots that let them, defeat the ghosts.
What about fruit? Do you think
of course it's fruit.
You are a fucking genius.
I know.
So, what have you put in your ears?
We had a wedding, and that had music that we listened to.
We did.
Do you want to talk about our wedding playlist?
I think I went through the wedding playlist last episode, but I will go through it again. There were a couple of modifications by the time I came to actually mixing the whole thing together for a laugh, just so that we wouldn't have to be up and down to mess around with music. So, in no particular order, My Chemical Romance, The Black Parade, My Chemical Romance, Helena, Na Na Na, Steven Universe, Stronger Than You, Steven Universe, Be Wherever You Are.
We walked up the aisle to that one. It was adorable.
We scuttled down the aisle.
Yeah. Shuffled, being led sort of from in front.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't fit two people side by side in a train aisle.
No, and one of them is me, and they are chunky.
And one of us is in a wedding dress.
Mm-hmm. We're both in wedding dresses. Well, yours was more traditional. I spent all day sort of just wait till she's gone, don't step on it. And go.
Mine was a wedding dress that took up space.
You're allowed to take up space. You should, in fact, take up space. Yanivi versus Snow, Informer.
Oh, I was many Prosecco's deep when that came on, and I was ready for a sing-song.
I'm ready for some dubstep.
Informer, say daddy me snow me, I could blame a licky bum bum down.
Take
to say me daddy me snow me, stab someone down the lane, a licky bum bum down.
Vega Boys, we like to party. We like to party.
We like to party.
Kimmy Dawson, Happy Home. Keep on writing. Mode Step and the Party Squad, Rainbow. Wilkinson, Afterglow. Zed's Dead, Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood. Tracy Chapman, Fast Car. MCR Kids from Yesterday. The Shaman, Ebenezer Good. Eiffel 65, I'm Blue. Shock One, Prelude and Light Cycles, because they just flow nicely together. Bass Necks Are Feeling Good. Phil Mack featuring Gina Ellen. We Got Bass.
We Got Bass.
We Got Bass. Fox Stevenson, Double Up. Miracle of Sound, Celebrate and Rejoice. Yes, we sent Gavin a video just to make him feel included. Backstreet's Boys, Backstreet's Back, because sure. Shock One, Follow Me. Smash Mouth, All Star. Our first dance was King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, Slow Jam 2. Her and I.
A condensed version.
Yeah, I made a 4-minute version rather than the 8-minute version because I did not want to be trying to dance on a train with just the two of us for 8 whole minutes while people stared. MCR Summertime, Contrast, Dance. And then we got into the really memey shit. Fred V and Graphics, Major Happy. That's not memey. God, what? I rickrolled everyone at the very, very end. Followed by Ailstorm, I Am a Cider Drinker, their cover of that. I'm sure there's something else in there that's really, really memey, and I can't remember what I put in.
Quite possibly.
But that's the majority of it.
The main things I wanted to point out on there, Ebenezer Good came on, and my mum was like, "Oh, I remember this," and she's sort of bopping along. I'm like, "Oh, you remember this one, do you?"
These are good. Ebony's are good.
Also, during I'm Blue by Eiffel 65, There was a lot of discussion between me and some friends about the various misheard lyrics people had for that song.
I'm blue dubba dee dubba die.
Yes, but that has been misheard. Some of my friends have misheard it as, I'm blue, if I was green I would die.
And now that you've said that, I can't unhear it.
Yeah, and some of them misheard it as, I'm blue, I'm in need of a guy. I'm in need of a guy, I'm in need of a guy.
I'm in need of a guy.
Yeah.
I'm in need of a guy.
Yeah, now, you see, now I know that one, I also can't unhear that one.
Yeah.
So, I'm gonna keep adding, I'm like, right, give me more things to say at that cadence.
Ma.
Ma. What about you? What have you listened to this week?
I mean, that was it. It was mostly putting that together, mixing that. I'm still working my way through Magnus Archives. I'm on like 190 now. So I'm very close to having listened to that again. And then I will finally get back to Dice Funk.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all of my listenings.
I've got a couple of other tracks. I listened to a few bits of new music this week. I've been really, really, really hooked on a track called Reverberate by a band called Bears in Trees.
Okay.
They're a British band from Croydon.
Ooh.
This track mixes like rock music with some nice piano mixed in, and the vocalist definitely has a regional accent to their singing that is like really nice. I very much enjoy it.
I love me a South of London accent.
Yeah.
It's where I grew up, so it's homely.
The track's got really smart, catchy lyricism and a very emotionally moving sort of crescendo as it builds up. About, friends helping you through tough times and being like, hey, I love my friends and they make everything feel okay, and it's very empowering and makes me very happy about my friends.
Yeah.
Really lovely song. They did a tour in July of this year. I missed that, but I'm going to keep an eye open because cool new UK band that is currently making new music that I enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go and try and see them live at some point because they seem really neat.
Yeah.
I first found them from a TikTok of them performing live when they'd been on tour just after they finished touring, of them performing this song, and it was just of like the sort of peak crescendo at the end of the track and all the audience singing along, and I was like, this is beautiful and really moving. I need to go find this band.
Yay!
And really enjoyed it, so
Yay.
hooray! I also listened to a new track by Kim Dawson.
A new track?
The track's not new. It's new to me. I've never listened to it before. A new to me track by Kim Dawson.
You mean it's not on Alphabet?
No. I mean, I've listened to non-alphabet stuff, but this one I hadn't come across before. It's a track called The Beer. It is a sort of like folk punk guitar track about her self-destructive battle with alcohol and drug use over the years. Really moving, beautiful, kind of haunting track about like a self-destructive spiral and trying to come out the other end of that, and her hitting rock bottom and having her moment of, I could really fuck some shit up if I don't deal with this, and it's a really beautiful track. So that's another good one I found this week.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that's everything I've listened to this week.
Well then.
Time for this.
Is your life too much?
Uh-huh.
Are you constantly stressed out by the horrific state of the world?
Mm-hmm.
For just £3 a month, we'll beam pictures of cute animals directly into your brain every 10 minutes. Choose from a huge selection of animals to suit your calming needs. Try Soothe Mooths today, and you're never more than 10 minutes away from "Aw, yay!"
Oh, yay!
Do you need a wig?
Yes?
Some poorly made jewellery?
Maybe?
Not pics?
Sure.
Shower curtain?
Maybe?
Side mirrors for 100cc Peugeot scooter?
I mean, at some point.
Pin badge of adorable rabbits humping?
Why
Possibly toxic tooth whitening product?
I probably wouldn't
Nibble clamps for all occasions?
Okay.
Jason Voorhees bobblehead?
Thank you.
An extension for a McLaren buggy for sun visor?
No.
Final stickers for your wheelie bin?
Maybe.
A bag of runes?
What kind of runes?
A t-shirt with stolen designs made from horrible quality materials that make you itch?
No, I'd probably get the original.
Potentially dangerous PC parts?
I'm not putting that in my computer.
A magnet keyring for removing security tags from clothes?
I mean, there's a time in my life I would have wanted that.
A camping saw?
No.
Ugly sunglasses?
No!
Anime statue!
Yes!
A dildo so cheap it'll literally poison you!
No!
A lipstick vibrator!
No!
It's free! Just pay shipping!
Uh-huh.
A
Maybe.
Go board!
What's that?
It's the game of Go! It's one of the most ancient board games ever!
Yes!
Okay, a knockoff Pokemon cards!
No!
A 12-pack of turkey posters!
No!
Milk carton earrings!
No!
Come on down and wish! Whether you want it or not, we've got it for some reason! Do you have any idea how far I didn't have to scroll to see every single one of those things today?
Oh, I guarantee it took you like 5 minutes.
Questions, let's have a questions.
What's the questions?
First question is from Callum Turner. Hi, Callum. Last week during the hottest day at work, I managed to hit Magnus 170 and 177 and SCP 3890 in one day, and discovered how upsetting that subject matter can be for me. The question being, have you ever had a series of consequences leading you to a discovery of a new thing you enjoy or a discovery of a new personal distaste?
Oh.
For clarity on that question, 170 is, I believe, the Martin alone. And he can't remember and he keeps finding the recorder
the
and
dementia,
starting again.
the dementia episode.
The other one I think is one of the hospital ones.
Yes.
Oh, it's the one where the bad therapist one that really triggered me.
Oh, the gaslighty therapist.
Yes.
Yeah.
And SCP-3890 is that one you listened to called about forgetting.
Yes, the one where like the forgetting monster was a physically stabbable thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sometimes that's I don't remember when I discovered that was a thing that like I have fear around, but like 100% those are all some fucking narratives.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What about you? Have you got any memories of discovering a thing you either like or dislike?
I mean, I've discovered kinks accidentally.
Yeah.
The first time I saw ovipositors and everyone was like, haha, look at how gross this and perverse this thing. I was like, but
I mean,
what
look,
if the slimy eggs are inside me?
I mean, look, let's be honest. I feel like 100% of kinks are discovered that way. I feel like that's the only way anyone discovers a kink is people going, that's a weird kink, and you go, well, what if I did
what
that?
if I just gave that a go? I think many people would be less repressed and angry if they were just allowed to get on with their non-harmful kinks.
Yeah, I'll let people do the stuff that doesn't hurt anyone.
Doesn't hurt anyone. It's just consenting adults doing consenting adult stuff.
Yeah.
Let them get on with it. Doesn't hurt anyone.
Not necessarily a direct answer to the question, but thinking about Magnus Archives episodes and stuff where I was like, I didn't expect to have these responses to these episodes until I listened. I didn't expect to find the episodes about, like, the vast and the deep as calming as I found them.
Oh, I find the vast and the deep very calming.
Yeah, I in practicality, obviously physically terrifying, but to just have it described, I'm like, yes, can you temporarily put me in nothing of empty, or nice and confined in nothing? Just quiet, away from everything.
It's interesting that they are sort of, the lonely is in Magnus is put in such a way as for the people who fear it is this big horrible thing, and for the people who manifest it or work for it, it's very relaxing and calming.
Yeah, that's...
But like as Peter Lucas says in one of the episodes, like, he didn't like the idea of a whole world being consumed by the lonely and only the lonely, because the idea that there isn't that window to look in at the worlds and go, I'm shunned by them, that was never my thing. Because like several times I've written both horror stories and like personal comfort stories about a world in which you suddenly find yourself and know not only that you are alone, but that you are absolutely alone in an entire dimension.
Yeah.
That there isn't anyone, you could walk forever and never encounter another person ever. Nothing else exists apart from you in this place. You are completely alone. And that is, at one time, fucking horrifying because of just knowing what it can be like to spend too much time on your own and start to go a bit strange. And other times just be like, I just wish everyone would fuck off. It's almost the antithesis to Livent.
Yes.
I don't know if I've ever explained that on the show before. Someone mentioned it on Twitter, I think. The concept of, I don't want to be dead, I just would like to not be alive for a few hours and just have that comfort. So I suppose the idea that if everyone else was just liventing while I had the freedom to explore. Yeah, that.
It's... Yeah, because here's the thing. I find the lonely in the Magnus Archives and its various things, I find them calming as a person that that lives in a very busy, sensory, overwhelming world and sees, both the vast and the deep as contrast and escape from the realities of what I struggle with currently, that are calming when viewed from a temporary perspective.
Yeah.
I know that in practice, if you put me in infinite nothingness forever, or buried alive, unable to move infinitely deep away from everything forever, wouldn't actually like it. But to hear stories about it, I'm like, yes, please give me that. I would very much like to just, can I just teleport ever so briefly for, a couple of hours every week to the infinite nothing void?
Yeah.
And just sort of float in the infinite nothing void. And I suppose that's what sensory deprivation tanks are, kind of. But, send me to the nothing void for a bit, or, bury me alive for a couple of hours, and then just oh, there we go, I'm back. Cool. Very much appreciated just being trapped alone for a while.
Oh.
Fucking no one can reach me here.
Just flick the off switch for a little while.
You know what it is? It's the fucking Sesame Street song, I Don't Want to Live on the Moon.
I don't want to live on the moon.
Yeah. I would like to go visit the vast or the deep.
Yeah.
But I don't want to live in the vast or the deep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully that was an answer to your question.
Omegon the Saint asks, how might a train wedding go differently if it was specifically aboard a Shinkansen?
Shinkansen. So, yeah, Shinkansen is basically the bullet train. Rather than going 125 miles an hour as we were doing, these go at about 320 miles an hour.
Cool.
I will say, these are not tilting trains, so we might have an easier time standing upright, maybe. I've never ridden the Shinkansen, but from all accounts, very, very, very smooth.
That's a fascinating design on the front.
Yeah, right, that is...
It's got car vibes. Like one of those land speed record cars. I suppose that makes sense.
If you're going to go 320, not 320 miles an hour, 320 kilometres an hour, you're going to need an aerodynamic front of your train.
I like the Hello Kitty pink one.
Oh, yeah, the one that just looks like a little fucking torpedo beak.
Like a tiny rocket.
Yeah!
And also it's pink. I like it.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the big difference would just be balance for corners.
Mm-hmm.
Would, we're going to tilt less, but also there's probably going to be a bit more G-force.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, less easy to dance in the aisles, perhaps.
I imagine so.
And also on the Shinkansen, probably less dancing on the seats. They'd probably be very upset about that.
They probably would be, but also it's our wedding, you can't stop us. You probably can stop us, you're Japan.
They didn't stop us. A Caledonian sleeper.
Oh.
I wouldn't want to, be trying to dance or walk down the aisle and then fall into one of those jaggedy tables.
Yeah, so some of the, shared areas we've got, bench seating on one side and window seating on the other, have these triangular designs that I wouldn't want to accidentally fall over mid-first dance and ouch, that's a sharp table.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like that would be tricky. Because the bedroom space, they're too small. You couldn't have a party in those. You'd have to have the party in the shared spaces. Although, hey, a Caledonian sleeper, that is a very, very, very lengthy train journey. We'd have had more time to party, more time to get drunk, and then beds to sleep off the getting drunk in.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, maybe that would have been alright.
I mean, to be fair, I crashed out after the wedding, so a sleep would have been good. To be fair, we'd been up from like 5 o'clock, so
Yeah, it was a long
crashing
day.
out at 6 wasn't was it 6 or 7, something like that? It was really fucking early.
We went to sleep pretty early.
A DLR train.
Oh. I would be far too busy pretending I was driving the train to, actually pay attention to the wedding.
I mean,
I'm like, I know this is my wedding day with you, Jane, but I'm driving the train.
Choo-choo.
I'd bring along my train simulator controller for PC and put it at the front of the DLR and be like, see, I'm driving the train, I hit the dials.
I'm surprised you didn't bring your hat or whistle. Thomas the Tank Engine.
I don't want to get married in a sentient vehicle.
The sentient vehicle.
I'd be like, I'm very sorry, Thomas, that we're not, we didn't invite you to the wedding, but we're inside you. You can't really get your head in here.
I'm now imagining that image of
the Thomas is crawling out the front of the fucking train.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't want to.
I want to join the wedding. Can I have some cake, please?
I don't want to invite a cosmic horror to join the wedding.
Aww. Okay. Thomas the Weed Engine. I assume that's just Thomas, but more dank.
I mean, look, Thomas the Weed Engine can come join because look,
Thomas the Weed Engine sounds way more chill.
As long as you bring some stuff with you,
Yeah.
I'll probably be a lot less freaked out about the eldritch creature trying to drive it, climb into the train.
Choo choo, y'all getting married, huh?
Mm-hmm.
You want some brownies?
Yeah.
Congratulations to the happy couple. Choo choo.
Do we have any other questions?
That's all the questions.
Well then, time for this.
Do you know what I want to see more of?
What do you want to see more of?
Social Justice Warriors.
Social Justice Warriors?
Yeah.
All right, Larry.
All right, Barry. How you doing?
Not too bad, mate. Not too bad. You know, I've been a bit busy now. Things are opening up a bit. Went for a
Yes,
really
same.
nice walk the other day.
Oh, yeah, same. I did so as well. It was
Right,
absolutely
right.
lovely. It's
Yeah.
been nice to get out and about a bit more now. I'm a little bit more safe to do so.
I've caught a tan for the first time in
Oh, gosh.
years, in fact.
Look at you go.
Oh, I know. It's very strange.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I've been like you. I've been doing a lot more outside, but I've
Yeah.
also,
Carefully, though.
yeah, doing outside carefully. Still masking up outside.
Oh, yeah.
But I've also been inside. I've also been, enjoying my bits of media and whatnot.
Oh, yeah. You know, I've discovered a lot of new Twitch channels since I've been spending more time at home. Less on
Yeah.
YouTube, funnily enough. I think
Yeah.
a number of adverts are driving me away from
Yeah,
it.
same. But there's been a bit of a problem going around on Twitch recently, the last couple of
yeah,
weeks.
yeah.
It's been a long-term problem. It's been considerably worse in the last few weeks.
Yeah, it's been worse. It's been more brought to light. I don't know if that's to do with the tags, but as people, who've been in suffering from these issues, why should they have to stop using the nice tags?
So yeah, we talked about I was aware of the tags when they started happening on Twitch and people could put more identity signifiers, and I was honestly surprised by how positive they were received. And at the time, around their release, like they did not result in a instant uptick in targeted harassment, but for some reason, it has taken several months, but suddenly it has started happening, and there has started being some pretty horrid targeted harassment raids on minority streamers, particularly on black streamers and trans streamers and autistic streamers. People who are at the intersection of those have been having it particularly rough. There has been a lot of... how do I put this? A lot of creative getting around word filters and a lot of not empowering creators with the tools they need to prevent certain users from continuing to hate raid. Like, people are getting through and managing a certain raid, and then that same channel is going on to hate raid 3 or 4 more other channels in the same day, and Twitch isn't doing anything about it, for example. They're blocking the accounts that are being sent in the raid, but not the accounts that are sending the accounts, which, Twitch is really not taking this seriously. People have been talking about it pretty vocally for the last week, and
yeah, I noticed Twitch did a thing on YouTube. They were like, "We hear you. We've seen that this is happening, and we're going to do better." And that naturally resulted in lots of people saying, well, we'll wait to see it, but, you know, nice words.
They've not, announced any actionable changes they're going to make, or given any kind of timetable, or offered any support or help to the people being targeted until they can find a solution. They're just sort of like, just live with it a while, we might do something, and this is Twitch in general, this is social media platforms for video in general, very willing to give a platform to people, not willing to make the effort to be responsible for keeping those platforms safe for those creators that make their platforms what they are. Sort your fucking shit out, Twitch.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they need to do much better. They need to... I don't know exactly what they need to do. You know, I'm not someone who works in security or resilience or any of that stuff for online stuff, but it seems like there must be ways of, protecting people better, or at least making it a little bit more difficult to do this. Now, I realise obviously they want to be inclusive, and so they're not restricting it to basic ASCII Romanized characters only. And that's where some of the stuff I saw earlier tonight of creative uses of getting around the N-word by using Japanese characters. I think some of them were.
Yeah, there's been a lot of different. This looks close enough to that letter, so I'm going to use that.
The algebraic letters being thrown in there and stuff. It's like, oh no, I understand how that is happening, but it doesn't seem that it should be that difficult to go, if the string of any of these are flagged up.
It doesn't seem like it would be a difficult task for Twitch to, let's say, look at all characters that are acceptable in text in their platform and go, do any of these look like other characters? If so, when running our, profanity filter, look for, is this one of the banned words, but with a letter that looks similar filtered in? Like, generate...
It doesn't feel like it should be that difficult to search for something
It feels like as long as you create associations between this looks like an I, and this looks like an I, and this looks like an I, if any of them are in this position in the thing that spells out a word, that's probably the bad word.
Yeah.
Fancy a hug?
Oh, yes, mate. Yes, I do. Good hug, mate. Good hug. Oh, right. I think I'm gonna go for a little lie down.
Yeah, go have an early night, I reckon.
Yeah, nice.
So, Laura, where can we find you on the internet, darling?
Laura K. Buzz pretty much everywhere. Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Patreon, that's the one that pays the bills. Twitch stream Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays at 10 PM UK, 5 PM Eastern, 2 PM Pacific. For the foreseeable future, Fridays, Fixation Friday, we're going to be doing Train Simulator speedrun streams. Other than that, I've got books, Uncomfortable Labels, that's out now. Things I Learned from Mario's Butt, that's out now. Gender Euphoria, that's out now. There's also a podcast, Pixel Squirt, it's about video game character pornography. Podquisition, we tell you whether your favourite video games are great or perfect. Dice Funk, it's a Dungeons & Dragons podcast, each season's its own story, jump into whatever one you like. I'm on seasons 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I'm also on another podcast with you that isn't this one, Jane.
That's polyamory, which we kind of mentioned earlier while talking about Boyfriend Dungeon.
Yeah.
You can't date any of the swords in polyamory. It's not that kind of sword. Where are we? Calburnia. Stuff's happening in Calburnia. Bad stuff. I had to write special music for the outro to that episode. So listen to the most recent episode of Polyamory, and then listen to all the rest of them, because especially season 2 is very good. I also make music under the name Bedroom Programmer. I would like to get back to that. We've been very busy.
We've been very busy with The Secret Project.
The Secret Project. Oh gosh, what else have we got? We got music. We got Grim Pleasant Strangers t-shirts are available. There will be links in the description. I have other links, other t-shirts available on my Redbubble. That's janiac.redbubble.com. For as little as $1 a month, you can help me justify a 76-hour work week. That's patreon.com/stonedmonkeyradio. For $10 a month, you can get early access to Grim Pleasant Strangers and Polyamory, and anything else I think to do early access to. And you can help keep me in board games and help fight off the debt and depression. Yay!
Mwah. I love you.
I love you too. All of my links can be found at streamlinks.com/Janiac, JANEIAC. Laura, sing us out, please, darling.
Until next time, be a stranger.